Welcome everyone to another I Refuse to Keep You in the Motherfucking Dark production. Today we're going to be talking about BERT and what they're calling neural matching,
Hey,
which is,
Marco,
yeah,
um, I think you need to add me as a co-host, possibly, because I can't see anybody's things or any chat or any of that kind of stuff.
no, I added you. You wouldn't be able to talk unless you were added.
You just added me as a speaker, but I don't see any.
Ah, there you go. I see people continue to come in. Chris Stewart, can you see it now? Can you
Yep,
see
I hear.
everything?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna talk about BERT. We're gonna talk about neural matching, and we're gonna talk about what's going on in SERPs today. You paid attention last week. Okay, so let's start this off right. We don't give a shit what Google does, because if you've set up everything right according to what I've been teaching you, which is brand plus keyword association. If you're local, you have local clients, you have lead gen, then what you're doing is brand plus location plus keyword association. The entity webinar last year was all about creating that, right? It was verification, validation, and solidification, bringing it all together to your end game, which is you hit that 3-pack and you make that money. That's the end game. And let me go into here, because I'm sorry, I can't do that. Let me share my screen. So, sorry, guys, all that crap popped up. You don't need to see all that. Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? Okay. And away we go. My favorite quote, or quote of the day for today, but also one of my favorite quotes, is the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. All right. So what does that mean? It means that the enemy doesn't really matter, because if you know anything about the art of war and Sun Tzu, then you understand that what he's teaching is either you understand your enemy so well that there's no way that you're going to go into a head-to-head confrontation with your enemy, or your forces are so superior, your enemy is required to submit before you even start. I liken this to a chess match, where if you start looking, you sometimes see the masters, right? Look at a board, right? 3, 4, 5 moves into the game, and they'll call a draw. How the fuck can you do that? How can you call a draw? Well, they've been playing long enough. They have all of these moves in their head. They know the outcome. No need to continue. Also, you'll see it. It's 10 moves into the game, and guy tips the king over. He submits because he sees that he's been overwhelmed by superior forces, and that nothing that he can do can counter or can go against the enemies or his opponent's defenses. What I'm telling you is that when you apply what it is that I'm telling you, and you apply it the right way, then it doesn't matter what your opposition does. It doesn't matter what the enemy does. It doesn't matter how Google tries to change the game, because we're not playing Google's game. We're playing the internet game. We're playing basic principles of the web games, so that when our thing, and that's all an entity is, it's a thing that has a presence on this thing we call the World Wide Web, and it either has a fucked up presence where you're confusing the shit out of the bot, or you've taken the time to set up everything correctly, so that when Google comes calling, then Google knows exactly what it is that you're trying to show, what it is that you're trying to present, because you presented it in such a structured way. It's why it's called structured data. Right? You have structured data and unstructured data. BERT can now look at unstructured data But you can nudge BERT through your structured data, and you can set it up in such a way so that when BERT comes into your unstructured data, it already has a really good idea what your entity is about. And this is all done through code. It just happens to be called schema, right? It's all structured data, no matter whatever it is that you code in. I prefer to do it in JSON plus LD because it's what Google asks us to do. Now, when I get helpful information like that, we prefer if you do it in JSON. Why wouldn't I? Why would I even try to go do it in something else? Yeah, did somebody, I just heard someone come in. No, continue, everyone can hear me fine? Rob, can you hear me? I hope I didn't get disconnected. Rob, anybody? Oh, all is good, okay. I'm not hearing, Rob must have dropped out. All right, Mark, all right, so we'll continue. All right, because as I was saying, it's structuring your data in such a way that you make a really good presentation to the bot beginning on your money site. And then as we know, because you've been listening to me talk ad infinitum about this, the bot is going to follow the links, the breadcrumbs, everything that you've laid out to other places where you've set up your entity information or parts of your entity. And you're directing the bot to, it's trusted and it's authoritative because we live in trusted and authoritative places. We send it into a Drive Stack. We send it into a GSET. We send it into Twitter, Facebook, and all of these places where we have our profile and it's our brand and there's keyword associations within that brand. It's the specific keywords that are related to the entity, understanding that those keywords are entities in and of themselves. If you do a good enough job of structuring your data so that when it comes into your unstructured data, it already knows, then the battle is pretty much, it's done. The enemy doesn't matter, and I showed this last week. The enemy could be Walmart. The enemy could be Amazon. The enemy can be Lowe's if you're in e-commerce. The enemy can be just anything, name it, you name it, and we're on it. I can show a few examples because they're public, right? It's not something where we have like a live test where if you go and start snooping in there, you would actually hurt the test, or where it's one of our clients where we can't risk the client. But you guys, you're more than welcome to go. And again, go look at last week's webinar. So, you know, SEO Virginia SEO, and I've been ranked #1 for 4 years. Going on 5 May of this coming year, it'll be 5 years. And I don't expect it to move. DC Plumber in DC. Go look it up. I showed you Land Solutions. It's something that I'm kind of working on. It's kind of inactive because I don't have enough time to work on it. But I showed you the beginning of the way that the entity was set up, how I submitted it to Google, how Google took it and just ran with it. It was just live. And next time I do it, I'll be recording my screen. Because where there was nothing before, where there were all sorts of different entities that were related to the brand for that keyword, for the keyword Land Solutions Network, which is a brand, there is now no doubt that there's one brand. And I don't know, I might go in there and look in a little bit. But this is what I want to make sure that you guys know. I want to make sure that you guys know that what you have in your hands is basically worryless SEO. Why? Because we've shown for 4, 5 years, longer than that, when we started out with syndication network and going into the different social media and Web 2.0s and building up the profile and powering it up with links and embeds and anything that we could do to strengthen them and promoting our content within our profiles, right? And giving ourselves credit for our content in our profile, getting those persona networks so that they would amplify the message, getting it out there into more Web 2.0s, into more social media profiles, not directly belonging to the brand, but related to the brand. You've seen it in YouTube, you see it in Instagram, you see it in Facebook, where people will talk about brands. They either love a brand or they hate it, and they'll talk about it, and that's all they do. Well, that's what we set up in a tiered syndication network, and that's just about daisy chaining syndication networks one to the other with Tumblr, Facebook, excuse me, Tumblr, WordPress, and Blogger as the triggers, and then you just add personas. It it could be, think about it, it's actually limitless, because each one of those triggers can have a syndication network triggered by that free Web 2.0, and then each one of those can have, since they each come with three, with WordPress and Tumblr and Blogger, they could each have syndication. So the way that it's massive, the way that you could do this. The question is, where does it become a diminishing return, right? Where have you done enough? Like, I don't like to do extra work. I don't like to do anything extra unless I'm testing it. Then I'm gonna hammer the jack out of stuff just to see where the boundaries are, how far I can push, and then I can reel it back in where I can still safely get results without triggering any of the negative shit that you can get into with Google. But this is what I'm talking about. When we're talking about the supreme art of war, is I get up every day and I come sit in my computer, no worries, no concerns. I'm excited about what's going on. I'm excited about the results that I'm getting. I'm excited about BERT and what I can do to BERT. I'm really, really, really into this neural matching, because the way they feed it to you is a bunch of shit. You can't optimize for BERT because you're supposed to be optimizing your content. But what about if you optimize your entity so that BERT would then look at your entity before it went into your unstructured data and started pulling information about your unstructured data within context in an attempt to answer questions? Isn't that optimizing for? I mean, we would get into a semantic game, wouldn't we? And we'd fall into Google's trap. We'd fall into Google's game of trying to obfuscate the playing field, because yeah, they're the 800-pound gorilla in the search game. They're the top. They're the best. They get the most people. Well, I wouldn't say the best, but they get the most people. Absolutely, we have to go and we have to target Google, but Google is into a million other things, a million other ways to make money. You can't get to be $1 trillion company without having your tentacles in everything. And search may be a big part of what it does, but it's not all it does. So with all of these things that it has to look at, that doesn't stand to reason that they can't really look at everything, which is, let me tell you something, it's really why they're trying to go neural in the first place. And all, and I'll give you the definition, because I pulled it up. Where is it? In here, right? And I wanted you to get just the definition of what a neural network is, because you see neural and you're thinking nerves, right? And you're thinking the human mind, which is a set of it's neurons and synapses, which is the spaces in between, and how they attach and building new ones, and you get all these funky ideas. But what I want you to concentrate on is this: neural networks, and yes, plural. Google has multiple algorithms, although they all come under one umbrella. And they get, when search gets pulled in, it's ranking, really doing all of the pulling in, supposedly at the point in time when you're doing your query. It's a set of algorithms modeled loosely after the human brain, and they're designed to recognize patterns. Rob and I had a discussion about this just last week, or earlier in the week. Right, Rob? I don't know if Rob was able to join me again. But
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay. So what is it that you do all day, Rob? Can you tell people just real quick?
Well, but I'm a biochemist by training. So I work at a pharmaceutical company,
Mm-hmm.
and Basically, I do data analytics and investigational analysis,
Yeah,
and
but through what?
through relational databasing, basically, which is exactly what Google and all this stuff is. It's a series of networks and finding the connections and that type of thing. So
That's it. That's it. Look, it's a set of algorithms, and it's designed to recognize patterns. It's what Rob does every single day of his life, which is why he's trying to cut his wrists with a wet noodle. So you look at relational databases. This is what Google does. This is what all of these algorithms that you guys are getting. Guys, it's a database. It's a massive database with massive information that has to be manipulated real time so that you can give people real time results.
So something, I guess,
Go ahead.
I was thinking after our discussion last week, like how to put this into context of people are more aware of, and it got me thinking about like that whole ancestry.com or that ancestry, whatever. Basically, ancestry is just a huge, so when you do your family tree, it's just a huge relational database. How are all the different people in this tree related, and on and on and on. And they're building a huge database of people and people's information, which that's exactly what Google's doing. But just think, instead of a database of people, it's a database of entities. And then Google recognizes the patterns on the web to then start connecting these entities and building these networks to be able to say what is related, what's not related, and then be able to interpret it based on looking at previous relationships. I mean, that's all it is. At the end of the day, it's a computer, and it's looking at data models, and then it's looking at data, it's looking at missing pieces of this other data, referring back to the models and saying, well, based on those models, I think it should be this. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of math, but it's similar to they're collecting all the data around these entities, no different than ancestry.com or whatever is collecting all this information around people.
Okay, so that's a perfect example, because we go into Ancestry. I hope you haven't. And submit our DNA. I hope to God you haven't. And okay, so you want to find what parts of the world you have a relationship to, right? And you'll go in, and I've seen the how it all gets analyzed, and you'll get percentages. We think that your percentage this and percentage that, but there's also RNA. Right? It's not just DNA, because you can go through the RNA, which is the mother. I think it is, and you can actually go back even further through. I think it's RNA. I could be mistaken. Anyway, I haven't looked at it that deep, because it's not what I'm into. But the whole point here is that you can find out more or less what your relationship is to another person. Now, the closer you are to that person, brother and sister, the more likely it is that you'll find a match. So you could find that you have a brother somewhere that you didn't know, that you have a sister, aunt, uncle, whatever. You can find out amazing things through that, but you're putting all of your DNA in a database. And no. I'm not recommending that you go to Ancestry.com and submit your DNA, by the way.
No.
Absolutely not.
I was using that as an example of a relational database.
No, but it's a fantastic example.
More aware of, yeah.
It's a fantastic, because it's exactly the distance graph. It's exactly the distance graph. Why?
You're finding out who your great-grandpa is and your great-great-great-grandpa, and that's exactly the distance graph that Google's doing. Seeing how related you are to the trusted entities, and the closer you're related through their data sets, then the more trusted you are. It's no different than it's kind of like you always hear that old school talk. Well, I knew your dad, so I trust you, right? Because your dad was trustworthy, you're trustworthy until proven otherwise.
Exactly.
That's sort of how Google's doing it. If you're close enough to a trusted entity, then they start off by giving you a little more trust until you prove otherwise. That's kind of how I think about it.
And I'm gonna write it in here, guys. I'm gonna type in the word entity. Don't get thrown off by this. This is a word. This is a word on the web. That's all it is. That's all it is. So if we look at the neural network and the set of algorithms, what it's going to do is going to look at a word, or else we can also say or set of words, right? So the algorithm comes in, whichever one it is, whether it's, yeah, and we mentioned several last week. We mentioned the distance graph is at work. The Google Desk can also be triggered through an algorithm, which is, again, a trap. The ranking score algorithm, the PageRank algorithm, the proximity factor, all of these different factors that are working together to build up listen to me, a ranking score. The patent talks about ranking score, I forget how many dozens of times. The patent talks about ambiguity. The patent talks about entities on the web. The patents, one of them talks about brand. And so that tells you the types of entities that are becoming important. So your entity, and I'm going to take this example, which is this is brand new, right? Heavy hitter, the Heavy Hitter Club. This is an entity on the web, but there's no relationship in this entity. I think we have a Facebook. We don't have a syndication network yet. We have a one page. It's ClickFunnels. It's just being set up because what we want the Heavy Hitter Club is we want this to be the ultimate SEO place on the web, the place that you can turn to get this information that you're getting here in this charity webinar, but more in depth, where we can go and pursue from beginning to end, create the creation of an entity, your entity. So we'll take it. It takes a couple of weeks. That's all it is. Build your syndication network. You spread the word. You get that ad ID page, right? You get some posts going, and then you submit it to Search Console, and then magic, bam, you become the entity for the keyword. So the Heavy Hitter Club, we want it related to what is it? It's scorched earth SEO, where we don't want to leave any pickings for anybody. We want it all to be ours. I told you last time, I'm not in this to be to compete. I heard someone say that what's important is competing, and I'm gonna call bullshit on just competing. It's important to play the game. You know, it's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. Fuck that. I'm not in this to lose and play nicely. Oh, look how well I played, but what I won't have shit. No. So anyway, so Heavy Hitter Club, we're going to relate this to a whole bunch of keywords that are. But Heavy Hitter Club, unless we tell the bot through the structured data first that this is about SEO and it's about technical SEO and it's about demystifying, which is what I'm trying to do with you guys here. I'm trying to take those blinders off and look, and we're demystifying all of these things, which to some of you are really scary because you hear all of this conflicting information. It's all bullshit. And I'm even going to show you the second part of this, where it says they interpret sensory data through a kind of machine perception. No. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but you should have said it better, because a machine cannot have perception. And I mean, they say humans have extrasensory perception. I might call bullshit on that unless you can prove it otherwise. I might do what was it, the Magnificent Kreskin or whatever, $1 million to someone who can actually prove that you can do this. Anyway, neither here nor there. Just be careful with the garbage that you're fed. Learn to think, learn to analyze. That's another part, right, of Heavy Hitter, where we this critical thinking. Most of us just follow. I'm sorry, we're sheeple. We're fucking sheep following the one in front, and we could be being led to the slaughter, to the cliff. The wolf might be waiting for us at right around the bend, and we're just followers, man. What the fuck is that? I want you guys to be able to analyze and think, draw conclusions, and then you go out and test. I have a fucking theory that I want to test. I think, I'm speaking for myself, I can optimize for BERT. And so now I'm on how can I optimize for BERT? Well, this is what BERT is doing. BERT is trying to put together questions and answers from context, right? From contextual information. But I bet, and I'm not a gambler, but I am a betting man in that I bet on myself. I start telling myself, I bet that if I go into the structured data and I feed this fucker what I want, it's gonna see what I want. Sure enough, my test, I got BERT. And I told the guy, I mentioned it during a hump day hangout. I got BERT by the balls. I got BERT by the balls. And it's in a vice script. That's it. He's mine. Now,
what you're playing on there, so that's a tricky words they used, right? They interpret sensory data through a kind of machine perception.
Correct.
Which kind of is exactly the opposite of what you're saying. How can it be kind of machine, or it's either is or isn't? But by saying kind of, they put labeling or clustering raw inputs, which all that is relational databases. So if you cluster enough inputs, it kind of gets back to where if I say the word bat, you don't know what I'm talking about. Is it a baseball bat? Is it a bat that,
Well, that's where the contextual. Yeah, that's exactly. where the contextual information.
So all they're doing is they're clustering all these different pieces, and then they're looking at different. So they have all this data now in their huge database, and then they go to another page and they see like 6 words, and they go say, well, every time I've seen these 6 words, I also see these other 4 words, so I'm going to cluster those together. That's what they by kind of sensory information or whatever.
Yeah, it's just filling in variables. It's looking for variables and it's filling them in. Fuck sensory. Fuck all that bullshit. It's looking for variables. It fills them in. It clusters them. It puts these variables in. These variables, baseball bat, belongs in the game of baseball. Fruit bat is a mammal. Yeah. Now, I kind of got ahead of myself because what's a neural network? I wanted to ask that question, and we got ahead of ourselves because we just said what a neural network is. It's a bunch of related data, and if your entity is in there, and your entity is I don't care, electrician, so you want to make sure that everything that they have on you in that relational database for that neural network to come in and pull the information is related to electrical work. Now it could have a co-occurrence. Let's say bathroom remodeling, for some reason, co-occurs often with electrical work. I'm just saying, I'm just giving it as an example. Then you better make sure that you give the bot all of that information, which is, God, I'm amazed, and I'm gonna right here, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I've been talking about this since forever, where we feed the bot all of the information related to the entity, whether we think it's related or not. If Google thinks it's related, we're giving it to them. Why? Because with BERT now, co-occurrence is at play. And please be aware that BERT is from 2013. It's nothing new. It just so happened that they set it loose on 10% of the searches in October. That's the only difference. It had been out. It had been at play. They had been at testing, but it wasn't done widely until October. So a neural network, as Rob said, as I said, it's just a database. It's a relational database. What does that mean? It's a database where words that are related are clustered. They're not only clustered with themselves, but they're clustered with words that have a co-occurrence on them. What does that mean? I was just working with my son with a Venn diagram. He finished 2nd grade, so I'm not going to say just working. A few months ago with Venn diagrams, and that's co-occurrence. If you have children, go do a Venn diagram. And if you're not, then go look up what it is, and it's a perfect explanation of where one thing and another take place that may or may not be completely related, but there is a relationship because they happen. together. It's not exact, but I mean, that's what's happening. These things are related to one another, and when you learn to relate these things, when you learn, this is our deep keyword research gigs, and I train the VAs personally on the information that I wanted, right, for at MGYB. I spent a lot of time with them making sure that they understood that they would leave no stone unturned. And no matter how funky the information looked, if we were being told that it was related, then something somewhere created a relational database where these keywords were related to one another. And so we give that to the bot, but we give it to the bot in a very specific manner. We give it to it from total trust, from total authority, and total spam. That's a neural network. What's BERT? Well, we got into BERT. Right? BERT is simply an algorithm where it's trying to match questions and answers, but from within context. So it's trying to find meaning within the context. It's trying to find contextual relationships. That wouldn't it be wonderful if through I think I mentioned it last week, FAQ schema, frequently asked questions schema, you created your own correct relational database for BERT. Think about it. And then you went, because you have access to BERT, and you started playing with BERT and these questions and answers, and you got it into GitHub. You got it all the different places where BERT goes and extracts information. And wouldn't it be fun if all of a sudden you were triggering the FAQs and related questions in search results? We're doing it as we speak, simply because we're optimizing for BERT. I call it manipulation. You call it whatever you want, right? But if it's not optimization, then I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then the last one along these lines, and guys, I'm sure that you'll have questions about BERT, and I'll be happy to answer them. The last one in this, neural matching. Again, neural matching is a complete misnomer, because what's happening here, all right, this is from tests also, is that Google is creating, through this algorithm, brand plus keyword associations in local search, to be more specific. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only place where this is happening. This is mainly, the purpose for this is to try to clear out all of those super spam titles, right? Because some of those things, I mean, you've seen them. I'm not going to tell you, because you guys are in this all day, every day. You're in the battle, and you see all these super spam titles that don't belong in first place in a map pack, but they're there because that's all that the bot was looking for. It was looking for that relationship. BERT, actually not BERT, but neural matching is an attempt to try to clear that up by Google setting up an algorithm that looks at the brand, no matter what the name is. Heavy Hitter Club is an example, and relating the keywords that appear for Heavy Hitter, the keywords that co-occur, the keywords that we feed it, because we're going to feed it a whole bunch of keywords, thousands, hundreds of thousands. SEO is a big, wide landscape, and there's just tons of keywords that we can feed it our way. Of course, going to set up the ultimate ad ID page, and we're going to serve it. We're going to serve it spam, nice and hot, nice and crunchy, fried it up. We're going to sandwich it. We're going to give it to. But that's why we're going to do it. Neural matching. That's all it is. So if you listened to me last year during the entity webinar, when I told you that you should be creating brand plus location plus keyword associations rather than concentrating on exact match domains, then right now you're way ahead of the game, because now everyone has to catch up. Everyone has to redo what neural matching is now looking for. Isn't it fun? Because to me, it's really exciting and fun to be so ahead of the curve that you were planning for this 4 or 5 years ago without really knowing what it was that Google was up to, but being able to understand where Google was going. And I call it catching Google at the pass. I call it the ultimate art of art, or art of war moment, where your enemy was vanquished. Your enemy was done even before this started. And anyone that's applying these techniques can get the results. If you guys want me to show it up on screen, to put it up on screen, I can. I don't think that I need to. I think that this is just a good enough explanation. We can go there, and you'll see that it's unmovable. I can show you the entity, and you'll see that the entity is fine. I haven't looked since last week. I don't need to. And this is what I mean, guys, but when I tell you that it's worryless SEO, we don't worry about updates. Well, Rob, when was the last time that you found out about an update because one of your entities or one of your properties was affected?
Oh, I never find out from my properties. I normally get people asking me questions, or I see it in groups. Has anybody seen the volatility and this and that and ranking? And I'm like, oh, I guess I better go look and see if my stuff's still ranking. And I mean, I never noticed. I mean, it might go from 2 to 3 and then back to 2. You know, just kind of typical dancing is what I would. I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
I never see. Some of these people are like, I'm nowhere to be found, or I just haven't. I've never seen it. Like, I literally have 2 sites from. I set up the 2 plumbing sites that I'd use back before when I was stalking you, and we had just kind of met each other.
Yeah.
Those sites are still up and running, still generating calls, and still helping to pay for my colleges. My kids is 2 kids now in college is education, and I haven't touched them or done hardly anything to them for going on 2.5 years now.
Well, my New York City attorney and the Beverly Hills attorney are perfect examples where I go in and I do a call report just to see how much they owe me. Not to see what's been ranking, what's not, what was hit, what wasn't. Worried about this keyword and this keyword fell and that one. That happens. It's not because you're punished. It's just it's a natural cycle of Google doing comparisons and seeing, trying to figure out the best answer, right? The best answer for a query, the best match. And when that happens, it tends to cause volatility in and of itself. And so I don't want to be on that. And Daryl, you know, like I'm not picking on you. You know, you're my guy. We've been back and forth on this. But Daryl is one of the perfect examples of why you shouldn't SERP watch. Because he used to come in RYS Academy Reloaded in the Facebook group, and holy shit, it's dancing again, and it's dropped, and it's in 3rd place. And guys, what do I do? And my answer is always, let it be. Let it stew. It starts dancing, you have to leave it alone 21 days. If you hit it while it's dancing, then it goes into a 70-day cycle. If you hit it during that 70-day cycle, you can sandbox it permanently, and that's something you don't want to do. And like the hardest thing for Daryl was to just leave it alone, because he'd be back a few days later. Holy crap! No, it's gone. Wait a minute. It's back. A couple of days later. Oh no, it's gone. And until finally, he learned that this was just a natural part of the process. It dances until Google figures out, okay, this is the entity. These are the keywords related to the entity. This is the love that it's going to get. And then it's Daryl's job, once he has that, to go and look for more targets, look for more opportunities, and bring in more traffic and make his clients more money. It's not his job to worry about all of these factors that you have no control over the dance. Once it starts dancing, it has to settle. 21 days, period. But if you worry over, I mean, what good are you going to do worrying about something that's dancing, worrying about volatility in the algorithms, worrying about volatility in SERPs. SERPs are volatile because it's the nature of the game. It's fluid. It's not monolithic, although most of our results are. It's kind of an oxymoron, I guess, a conundrum. I don't know what you would call that. In that, most of our SERPs, our positioning, our ranking is monolithic, but SERPs are fluid because Google is always looking for the best match. It's always looking for the best match, and it turns out that it most of the time, and I've seen it, I don't know, I'm not going to keep harping on this, but it's most of the time it comes back to our shit. Once it ranks our shit, our shit comes right back to where it's supposed to be, and that's why we don't worry. That's why we're not in there. We're not SERP watching, because our clients would let us know at the end of the month, man, my calls fell off 50%. I would shit if my attorney would have told me, well, my calls fell off 50%. We have to cut the check by this much. No, I don't want that to happen. So I keep doing stuff, finding new targets, trying new things just to get more leads. And so, what wins the game? Let me ask you guys this, and I'll take some comments in chat. Let me see if I can find the chat, and if not, Rob, you have it.
Yeah, I got the chat up. Just as a reminder too, guys, if you want to like everybody to see it, you got to select to all panelists and attendees. It defaults to just me and Marco seeing it. So in the chat.
So guys, in the chat, just tell me what wins the game. Okay, so we have
entities, art, whoever has the most verified entities, slow and steady. I'm just reading them as they come through. Slow and steady. Trust theme traffic.
That's Triple T. You're from Mike Pierce's group, Mark.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. No, we call it art. Activity, relevance, trust, and authority.
Yeah. Same thing, different words.
Exactly. But yeah, that's not safe. Yeah, Daryl. Yeah. Safe still works. Safe still works. All right. So what wins the game right now is brand plus keyword, or brand plus location plus keyword association. When you do that, when you go into your thing on the web, and I'm saying thing because it could be local, it could be e-commerce, it could be affiliate, it could be I don't care, it could be a hotel in Nepal, right, up near the Himalayas. I don't care. What wins the game right now, and what will be winning the game well into the future, is who does the best job of putting that entity together, giving the bot all of the information that it needs. And I'm gonna say it during this webinar. I've said it again. You're gonna get tired of me. You're gonna get tired of hearing me say this, because it's so fucking true, guys. It's the entity and how well you do on giving Google everything you can, all of the information that you can about your entity. Why? Because of all of the networks, it seems like the algorithms are looking to fill in variables about the entity. And if you do the job the right way, if you structure it the right way from the start, if you do this thing right, and we call it, as a matter of fact, at MGYB, the SEO shield. Why? Because we shield ourselves from we've shielded ourselves from every update that Google has thrown at us for the past 5 years. So 3,000 something last year, probably more this year, 2,000 the year before, 1,000 something the year before. We don't give a shit. We don't care. We have our SEO shield in place. we have a repeatable process that wins the game. And we'll talk more about entities, of course, during next week's webinar. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. I think that this length is perfect for the information that we have, which is, right, 3 things. Neural networks, BERT, and neural matching, and then, of course, what wins the game? Brand. So James says, so brand plus keyword, or brand plus location plus keyword association, yes, wins the game, and it wins it big. It's not even funny. I wish I could show you Dedia's case study that's ongoing in our mastermind, where it's mind-boggling because it's about $1,200, right, Rob? The SEO Shield, if it's done, if you price it piece by piece, the syndication network, the Drive Stack plus G site, the ad ID page, press releases, and then link building.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but yeah.
I priced it out with Dedia because I like a little bit extra juice in my links, and I like them a special way. But it's around there. Could be less, could be more.
Yeah, depends on how much. I mean, how quickly you do the link building.
Correct.
And that type of stuff. So yeah.
But the end result was going to war, and not just fighting, not just being able to compete, but hitting that first page, and then pulling up a whole bunch of long tail keywords along the way. That's what happens when you work top down, when you work entity plus the top market level keyword. Everything that's related to that comes up. Network Empire used to push buoyancy, right? Where you'd work the long tails, and the more rankings that you started getting for long tails, the more that it would push up that top market level keyword. We go after the top market level keyword, and we bring everything else up. All right. So with that,
okay, everybody, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A section, because sometimes they get buried in chat and I miss them. So.
And since I'm sharing my screen, somewhere around here or somewhere around here, you'll see a Q&A section, right? If you mouse over, you'll see Q&A. You click on that, and then you ask your questions. So Rob, let's do this.
Okay. Go back to your definition of neural matching real quick, Marco.
What's that?
Can you go back to the slide that had the definition of neural, whatever?
It wasn't a slide. It was something that I pulled up.
Or yeah, that right there. So when they're talking about machine learning and AI and neural matching and all these different things, and we're talking about what wins is brand plus keyword association. If you just look at the last 3 words of that sentence there, clustering raw inputs. Right?
Well, we'll include labeling.
Yeah. So all that Google at the end of the day, like if we boil it down, it's a computer, and all they're doing is they're clustering the data they're seeing out on the net, and they're labeling each piece, and they're clustering the information they have. So by us feeding the bot, and I mean, this is how you can optimize for BERT effectively. BERT's job is to help cluster that raw data effectively. And then they take those clusterings and they use that to then figure out how to rank these different pages. So if you can control and better feed the bot the data to cluster with your entity, so we'll use Heavy Hitter Club here. If we start feeding the bot that Heavy Hitter Club isn't about boxing, but is about technical SEO, it's about scorched earth SEO, it's about digital marketing, it's about, if we had an exact location, like let's say, I don't know, Chicago, if we started doing all of that relevance or clustering keywords to go along with Heavy Hitter Club, then we are, I mean, basically we're training the AI to read exactly what we want it to read and to learn exactly what we want it to learn, so that when it sees the word Heavy Hitter Club, it's already associated all those other terms with it in the database.
Let me show a live example of what you just said. This is a perfect time to show tag team. When you guys think of tag team,
Yeah, that's one I was thinking about too.
It's wrestling, right? And so there you go, tag team. And of course, the main entity is wrestling because it's just famous and it's years in the making. But if you look just below that, you see, oh, what? Tag team is a hip hop duo. And there's the song has appeared in like the movies, The Addams Family, Let's Get the Party Started, all of these different things. And so when you look at the results, guys, look at this. So tag team, of course, the dictionary meaning is a pair of wrestlers. But look, tag team, the first result is their Wikipedia page. Tag team, Wikipedia, tag team wrestling. The dictionary definition, urban dictionary, and a whole bunch of other things. But what we were able to do through a strategy was to ambiguate. This is where ambiguation is actually good, because what we wanted to show the bot is, before it was just showing tag team wrestling. We wanted to show the bot that there was a second result that should be given for tag team. There is a hip hop duo. Their name is Tag Team. They're very popular. They're still performing. I happen to be able to call DC Glenn my friend. So how this is done is just, well, it's a part of it is that idea. Of course, they're in Wikipedia, but they're in all of these trusted and authoritative sources that talk about Tag Team, the hip hop duo. Enough so that the bot ambiguated, or that we were able to ambiguate the term and have, I mean, just put it up, go in there, tag team, and then you'll see in the suggested search, tag team group, tag team wrestling, tag team company, tag team won't, because their movie is won't. There it is. Right, so all of this can be done with proper structured data and proper structured data manipulation, which to me is optimization. It's structured data optimization, and like Rob said, and I told you guys before, the bot is coded to learn. The bot is coded to learn, and therefore the bot can be taught. So if the bot can be taught, you teach it. You take the time out to give it the information that you want it to have, present it in the places where it's going to be looking for it, and you win. That's what wins the game. Presenting the entity in the proper manner wins the game. All right, what else we got, Rob? Questions?
Okay. So James asked, he just spent 10 minutes looking for the replay of last year's charity webinars, but doesn't see them. Where can we access it? We'll have to get it. We don't have them where you can just find them, James, because they were behind only charity webinars. We'll have to put together a page, and we'll share that with you guys once we get it up, to where we can kind of host all of them behind.
Yeah, and guys, listen. Those of you, and I really appreciate your donation. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $10,000. And by the way, I'm going to match any and all donations dollar for dollar. But think about how much you donated and what the information that you're getting is worth. And think about making another donation. If this is information that's valuable to you, that's going to help you long term, and to just go and take over whatever niche it is that you're working on, then I think it's well worth helping the children that I'm trying to help. Because what we're talking about is children that have nothing. I was one of those kids, but I grew up dirt poor. I grew up, look, it's not fun looking back, but I always remember where it is that I came from. There were nights when I had nothing to eat, and my mom would give me a warm glass of water and have me go lie down on my stomach so that I could pretend my stomach was full. Now, no parent, because I got 3 kids, no parent should have to go through that. No parent should have to trick a child's stomach into thinking that it's full when it's not. So, I mean, if this is worth it to you, if the information that I'm giving you is valuable, just think about contributing a little bit more. Anyway, let's go on to questions and answers. I want to answer questions. See if someone tricks me into just giving away the farm.
Okay, we have one that says, I see a lot of contractors whose website is an EMD, but their company name is brandable. Superior Plumbing, for example, with losangelesplumber.com as a URL. How would you establish the relationship? And then second question is, how do you handle establishing entities for rank and rents? You want to go first?
That, or you can go first.
Okay. Basically, I do the same thing, and it's not on our site yet. So if you go to MGYB, it's not there yet. But I start with the SEO Shield, and what that is it's you build your network. So a syndication network that starts to basically validate your entity to get your name out there. That Superior Plumbing is a plumbing company for one, and that its URL is losangelesplumber.com. So just as an example for the syndication network, that's anywhere from 10 to 100 different tier 1 assets out there that will have your name and your NAP if you're showing it, and your URL with phone number all listed. So you're starting to now associate those things on other properties, and those other properties are fairly trusted, more than just losangelesplumber.com to start with, right? And that's kind of how I do it for rank and rents or a client. Rank and rents, the only real difference with a rank and rent is you're just establishing a fake brand, so to speak, but you're still establishing a brand, and maybe you're not showing your address, right? But a lot of these plumbers that are real plumbers don't show their address. So I don't necessarily think of them as different. For rank and rents, one part of that I may not do is build citations if I don't need to go that far. But then the next step is I build the drive stack, which is the second portion of the SEO Shield. And that starts to then basically it helps to solidify your entity, but then it starts really hammering home the brand plus keyword relevance. And if I'm focusing, so here we're talking about Los Angeles, so then I'm gonna do brand plus location plus keyword relevance into the drive stack, right? So that's how that starts happening. And then you hit it with your on page, or not your on page, your ID page, which then interlinks all those different pieces, which an ID page is just it's doing with schema as much as you possibly can, right? An ID page is literally just a node. It's a reference node for the bot that's specifically coded for JSON-LD schema. And we call it the ID page because it's literally the @ ID is what schema calls it, right? It's effectively just an entity loop. So then we're stacking all of our entity properties into that ID page and using the schema to reference back to that ID page. So that's the SEO Shield in a nutshell. But you always start with, obviously, your website has to at least have decent on page and some decent branding or whatever on your money site and your GMB as well. So that goes without saying, fill out your website and your GMB and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm that's kind of how I do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start this off by saying that I don't do EMDs. They still work. Google is trying to do away with EMD and EMD spamming. Yep. And so you're better off with superiorplumbing.com than you are with losangelesplumber.com as a URL. Although losangelesplumber.com, as long as you don't go overboard and over optimize, and then you begin talking about Superior Plumbing being the best Los Angeles plumber, the emergency plumber in Los Angeles, all of those keyword relationships. Well, we do that in the drive stack first and foremost. Well, actually, before that, I do it in the schema. I do it with location pages. I do it with schema on the location pages. I do site-wide schema, but then on individual pages, I do individual schema because you'll have images, you'll have videos, you'll have different entities that you want to present to the bot. And so the answer to your question would be, how would you establish the relationship? We establish it through our method, through our system, which is, as Rob calls it, the SEO Shield. But it really starts with really good on-page SEO. Half the battle, I would say at least, is right there on page. If you have that right, then everything else that's coming is gravy. It's gravy. It's food because it's gonna fill in all the variables, all the right variables that the bot is looking for. So that's it. How do you handle establishing entities for rank and rent? The same way. It doesn't change. You're going to rank and rent the website. They're going to pay you. If they want it branded for them, then you're going to charge a whole bunch extra, not just for leads, because then you're giving them the brand. But it's the same thing. It's like Brad said, syndication network. That's money for branding. Then the Drive Stack and G site press releases for branding. Ads, guys, ads for branding, Google ads and YouTube ads for branding, where people come through and they reaffirm once and again that brand plus keyword relationship, and Google is seeing that because Google is trusting you with that visitor coming through them, and they're trusting you, and they go and they follow that visitor, and that visitor they fill out that form, or they click to call, and Google catches that. That's the ultimate. But I mean, I hope that answers your question. If it didn't, then please ask to clear it up, and how we can clear it up. But that's it. There's really no difference. Like I said, rank and rent, whatever the model is, the system is the same, or else it wouldn't be systematized. Next.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading chat. Guys, I'm going to say again, if you're one of your questions answered, please put them in Q&A, because I can't keep up with chat to answer questions down there. Okay. Mary's was a comment to one of the question. Okay. Does it make a huge difference to host the ID page on an AWS opposed to your own domain?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to tell you why. Amazon has such trust and authority that we're looking for those relationships. We're looking for, right, that's the distance graph. We want to be as close to trust and authority as possible. And there's nothing better than being inside trust and authority. That's why we live inside the belly of the beast. That's why I came up with the concept. The concept was Google is looking for trust and authority. What's the ultimate trust and authority place that I can get into? Well, it's Google. How can I manipulate Google in such a way that I can take and pull from their trust and authority? And that's what I'm always talking about now. It's how we do that. And that's why you should be in AWS rather than on your own domain, unless your own domain has just huge trust and authority metrics, where you know that it's a PR 6 or 7, where you can attach a subdomain and it's going to benefit from all that trust and authority and page rank and ranking score. And then you can link build into that subdomain, and it's going to push up your page rank and ranking score. That's the only way that I would change that.
So I'm going to kind of echo. I just have never even not used AWS because I'm siphoning authority from Amazon and, iframing on there. But that doesn't stop you from hosting it on your own domain, or not hosting it.
Iframing.
No, not even iframing it. You can
map the domain.
Yeah, so you can take the AWS ID page and map it to a subdomain, and that way it's on your own domain and branded.
Yeah, we teach that.
So we teach that if you can create the AWS ID page, and then you can map that ID page to a subdomain. That way it's on a branded subdomain, but you're still filtering through the AWS server. That's kind of my 1-2 punch. For lead gen, I don't go some of these extra steps, which is why I kind of skip some of the nitty-gritty schema, which I've went crazy with schema, but I just use a lot of Google properties and never even get to a top-level domain on a lot of lead gens anymore. So for clients, for sure, the on-page is top.
All right, so I'm going to have to step on Rob for that. Guys, unless you really know what you're doing, don't skip steps. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't, because you pull a lot of power when you do things in the methodical, systematic way that we do it. If you skip steps, then you can really hurt yourself, unless Rob really knows what he's doing. He's been with me long enough, and he's smart enough. He's developed his own system, his own way, which is perfectly good. It pushes a ton of power, but unless you really know what you're doing, just don't.
Yeah. And if I use the word skip steps, I didn't mean to use skip. A lot of my assets, I don't have a TLD. So you
Okay.
can't put schema on the business site for GMB. If I could, trust me, I would. But that's where I was just saying, when you were saying do all the schema, you know me, I'm a schema nut. But so, okay, so how do we maximize and use factory products to win Google rankings? Judiciously, judiciously, good Lord, Mike, trying to kill me with these words, or heavy on location, or what are variables, and perhaps what are the level of variables? So I'm thinking factory products, and he's talking about
Ranking Factory and
ranking factory.
Patrick Tuttle's
Okay.
product. I'm not familiar, and I'm sorry. I mean, I have the idea of his cloud setup and what he does, but without having gone into them and played with them, I can't really say what you should or shouldn't do. What I would say is concentrate on brand plus location plus keyword associations, as much of that as possible. Just make sure that you're in trusted and authoritative places, and they have to be trusted and authoritative enough to withstand the spam and to turn it into good power, right? So that's why we go into these places, because we push what could be bad and spammy power into it, but what comes out is just perfectly good, and Google just gobbles it up. I'm sorry, I should get more familiar with. Maybe I'll get together with Patrick and put his stuff through the paces and see what it actually does. We do have it on the table to do. I just haven't had time to be able to do it, because I'm in so much stuff. Guys, you should see that. If I could show you the type of stuff that I'm into right now, I'm into catching Google at the pass in the next 2 or 3 years with where they're going. So I caught them once already here, right? But I didn't stop there. I was already working on my next gen, which would catch them at the next phase in 2 or 3 years. I always try to do that. I always try to work towards where Google is going to be, rather than react to what Google has done, because that's not a good way to do things. Wait until Google comes up with an update and then try to figure out what to do about the update. That's not a good way to do business. So sorry, Mike, I can't answer that better. Rob, have you played with Ranking Factory product?
No, I haven't played with it to know exactly how it is. But whenever you're in the belly of the beast, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't go light. I mean, if you order one of our drive stacks, you'll see how not light we go. But as far as, if you're wanting to go heavy with the location, then have your keywords, and then also have your keywords with the location on it. But just understand what you're doing. If you're gonna, if you're trying to, since we have tag team up here, if I started to then say tag team Chicago, and I just started hammering Google with every time that they see the word tag team that it's also related to Chicago, then we'll start to pigeonhole tag team to only be known if in relation to Chicago, right? So you kind of have to understand what you're doing as you go heavy or light on whatever it is that you're doing. I mean, you're feeding the bot information, and you're making them connect relationships. So if you make your brand related to one city, and you get Google to then validate that entity as that entity in that city alone, it becomes more difficult to then move to other cities. So just make sure if that's the plan, then that is the plan type thing. So, okay, anonymous attendee. Huh. I didn't know you could sign up anonymous.
Why you anonymous, man?
Yeah. Any visual sites, entities, examples. It's all kind of abstract without seeing examples. SEO Virginia, DC Plumber.
I shared it during watch 3 from last week, because I shared the SEO Virginia, the DC Plumber in DC, and the Land Solutions Network examples. Or you can go in the if you want to look at schema, look at the Land Solutions Network schema. that's still a work in progress. So if you come back in a couple of months and I've had time to work, you're going to see a lot of other schema in there, so you can start doing comparisons on what you should be doing with schema, which leads to the next question.
Well, I'm going to throw another one in there just that you guys can go play with. It doesn't have all the stuff on it because it was just a test to prove to somebody. But if you go look up...
share your screen. Let me stop sharing mine.
Okay. Share. You cannot share screen. Okay. Share screen 2. Let me make sure I don't have anything open. Okay, share. Okay, so do you just see like a mountain with a road on it right now?
Yep.
Okay. Let me drag this over. So if you search, now I'm located in Indiana, so just as FYI.
I think you're signed into that one. Try another browser.
Okay. Like doing incognito, is that what you mean?
You can do incognito or just open Firefox.
I don't have Firefox, dude.
You're supposed to have all different browsers.
Why is that? So Foundation Restoration Indianapolis. Right there's one you can play with. Go dig around. You guys want to Summit Foundation Repair Indianapolis. That didn't even have all the stuff, Marco. And I'm crushing it with all kinds of words. Even searching other like smaller cities around this area, I still come up first.
So is that a G site or is that a TLD?
That is a G site. Actually, it's the GMB site. Is my website.
The GMB, the business site.
Yeah, so but it does have Google sites to power it up.
Okay.
So there's another kind of entity you can play with and look at. It's not going to have everything on there because this again was just a test. But
can you go? What do you go? Let me see the rest of the organic and see where.
Oh, I don't even know if it's ranking organic. I never tried it.
That's the business site. It's kind of hard to get it to the top. You gotta hammer it and it'll rank.
Yeah, well, this one hasn't even had links built to it.
Ah, okay. So yeah. So you're ranking number one with just the SEO shield.
Yes, exactly. The SEO shield.
Part of the SEO shield. Got it.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So that's why I was just showing them. Like it's not, if you set stuff up correctly, and it's only getting stronger as they move to this neural matching and entity. So there's one you can play with, and I rank all over the city.
Okay, cool.
Okay. What tools are you using for generating JSON?
I'm old school. I code my own.
Yeah, same here.
But there's a whole bunch of JSON LD. As a matter of fact, we're going to have one in either MGYB or Heavy Hitter or both, where you guys can just generate the schema that we use, the way that we use it, right? Rather than what most schema generators give you.
So
but yeah, I code my own.
I do too. But what you can do is you can go to a generator and at least get the base, and then you can add in the extras, because it's crazy what you can do with schema. Anyway, I think I said last time I had 13 pages single font, or 8 fonts single spaced.
Yeah.
And that was just under one schema. That wasn't like multiple reviews and video. That was just one. That was the organization schema. So there's no generators out there that do that. Okay. Any way to leverage other powerful competitors' entity elements in your own stacks?
Yeah, see what they're doing. You're always supposed to do competitor analysis. See where they are. See where they're getting linked. See what they're doing with their schema. See if they're doing schema. Most people aren't, and that's such a like. It's so powerful right now. It's such a big advantage to use the right schema, right? You can go overboard, and you can even get hit for structured data spamming like Bradley did. Bradley got hit for spamming his schema, and so dial it back. But just look and look at the associations that they're creating and try to do your own. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, but then go one better.
I'm going to just throw out a nugget. Embeds. Let's leave that word there. But you got to be careful, know what you're doing. So that's why I don't want to go too deep. Okay, Daryl said, how would you go about associating your entity with neighboring geo entities to expand its radius in maps?
Yeah, that's something I'm only going to answer in the mastermind webinar, Daryl. And I've talked about it before when I've talked about the lawyer example in the mastermind webinars. Yeah, you could do a whole lot of associations with the entity and geo locations, right? I'll give you some. Associate it with features in the area. Don't just think of your keyword, but think of how Google associates everything. Google is going to create an association with the city. Well, if Google creates an association with the city, what else can you associate, or what can you associate between that city and what you're doing, so that you can feed the bot more information, right? You can create a city page with city information. Sorry, I can't go any more into this because I'd be talking about things we only talk about in the mastermind. But that's how you go about associating the entity with neighboring geo entities. My map is a perfect thing, Daryl. You should know better.
Well, that, and then I'll give you a little bit. So if we look at this, I'm assuming you're still seeing my screen, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so you see all these different foundation repair companies here, right? And let's say yours is, look, if you're this advanced, right, and you're wanting to associate with over in this area, right? All you need, I mean, not all, like one of the ways at a high level is you need to start associating this company with stuff in this area, right? So you can start keyword associating it or location associating it with, I don't know what, I don't even know what this is, some big lake here, right? Eagle Creek Reservoir, right? So you can start by associating this company's name with things around Eagle Creek Reservoir, and then it starts to do that association, right? There's tons of ways to go about doing it. That's just kind of a little, way of taking stuff that Google shows you and working that into your stuff, because Meridian Hills is a little suburb.
I'll give you this much. Okay, I hired a bike messenger service. I hired Uber Eats, and that's all I'm giving away. But that's what I hired to get the information that I needed from wherever I wanted it.
Yeah. So if you can see what Google thinks are different places, start associating with these little smaller town or neighborhoods or wherever they are. I don't even know what they call these things. So anyway. Okay. Do you build IFTT profiles as brand or brand plus keyword?
It's brand, and then but we also add a description, so the keywords will be in there. We do most of the brand plus keyword association, brand plus location plus keyword in the DriveStack and GSite, and then we associate the tier 1 branded in there. We associate everything in there. We put everything together in there.
Yeah. So Mark, I think, wasn't Mark the one that did the triple T?
Yep.
Okay. So he's then, I'm assuming this brand plus keyword, you're talking about I know that was taught in some course or something where they build tons of these different things. We just stick mostly with brand, Mark. We don't build a ton of different IFTT rings and do one with brand and another with brand and keyword and another with location and keyword and build all these clusters around, stuff like that. So we just stick with brand.
If you knew more about me, Mark, you'd know that I like simple. I like easy, and if it takes too much work, I don't want any part of it. That's why I hire people to do all of this work. The IFTTT, the DriveStack. We have a store now where our workers, the one that do work for us, do the work for you.
Okay, Mike said, so if a domain is unnecessary, just use a bucket in S3 as your index page, ? Or still use a domain for the final page. Also, wouldn't using Google Cloud hosting be the absolute best host? So Mike, I'm not saying a domain is unnecessary, because there's a lot you can do on a top level domain that you cannot do on just a Google site. But for rank and rent, it's maybe, or not even rank and rent, lead gen. I mean, it's a step again. It's not churn and burn, but it's just above that. Like I'm not doing form fills. I'm not tracking like a bunch of different stuff that you can do on a true, if you got a real true business that you can do with your website on top of just ranking in the map pack. So that's kind of where my differentiation comes. And then if I'm just mostly my goal, so to be honest, most of my goal is just to rank in the 3-pack for those lead gen sites. I'm not necessarily trying to do the organic just for my personal stuff. If I'm working with a client or helping them, then yeah, I work on their domain first. I want to get them organic. I want them to have a good brand presence when someone looks at it. They're trusted. You know what I'm saying? So there's more to a website than just ranking. When you're going for a real true business, is kind of how I look at it.
All right. So if I'm reading this right, he wants to put his website in an S3 bucket, and that's okay. But it's a really crappy URL. We want we want the ad ID, which is a misnomer. We want the entity stack in Amazon to again, trust and authority, because we're going to hammer the fuck out of that S3 bucket where that ad ID lives. Now we can deliver, we can map that over to a subdomain and make that the ad ID tag, the ad ID JSON LD schema, right? To give the node, to identify the node for the company information, because that's what we're doing now. The domain, if the ultimate goal is to rank in the map pack and not organic, then no, you don't need a top level domain. You Rob just showed you can just use the business site. You can use the G site, and that'll push power perfectly well for the purpose that you're trying to accomplish, which is hitting that 3-pack. Now, if you don't trigger a 3-pack with your niche, then what do? You have to go. Well, no, you don't have to. You can still go with a G site and drive stack and rank the G site. But there's like Rob said, a ton more things that you can do with a top level domain, even if it's just a ClickFunnels page or whatever CMS it is that you're using. As long as you can optimize it a bit, you can rank it. And so now you're taking up if it happens to trigger a map pack, you take up double space. You take up 3-pack ranking or 2, and you take up some organic space. So you got a bunch of real estate covered that you would not otherwise cover.
Okay. So someone asked, what's the average time scale for results to show from an SEO Shield approach for when it's all in place?
Once it's all in place, we hit page 2 for the top level keyword in e-commerce, as I said, against Amazon and Lowe's, and then whatever, just the e-commerce giants in 6 weeks. Top level, mind you. I can't say because we weren't tracking, but the client was really happy with all of the traffic and all of the sales that were that came as a byproduct of going after the top market level keyword. So I don't know. It depends on the niche, really. But I would say from when it's all in place and you start the link building, 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in there too. The SEO Shield approach is to set up your brand and to validate your brand and solidify it, and to associate all that stuff with Google. And like Marco said, depending on location and niche and competition, it's not a matter. I don't want to say it's not a matter how long. It's a matter of how much more will it take to then power up your SEO Shield, right? So that's when you start bringing in, I joke around, call it the SEO artillery. Your embedding, your link building, your press releases. The SEO Shield is literally just putting it up in place to protect your entity from updates. And then you can start building links to the Shield, all the entities and the tier 1 assets of the SEO Shield, and that will over time power the whole thing up. So it's not a matter of, I guess, it's a matter of how much, I guess, would be it's kind of how I think about it. Like sometimes it's going to require more link building than others. Like this foundation repair, when I showed you guys, I didn't need link building, right? It could be I didn't. Like I don't even bother to go see how much or how difficult the ranking is in this area. I just said, okay, here's what you want, go, right? And I didn't have to go into link building and a whole bunch of other stuff. I did some PRs, I think, but you know what I mean? Okay, Steven said, great webinar, guys. Any deals available for the products and MGYB?
We didn't set up
I don't have anything set up
a
specifically for
coupon.
this yet.
Yeah, let's set it up
There's
for next week or for the last webinar, because I got Dedia, by the way, just so you guys are aware, to donate 5 link building gigs and 5 embed gigs on his dime. So I'm going to be giving those away at some future point, probably the last webinar. Whoever attends, probably best question, someone who attended all 4. I'll see. I'll figure it out. But I got stuff to give away. Great thing from Dedia to he not only donated money, but he's donating his services to some of you guys. So some of you lucky people attending this webinar, attending last week's webinar, and the ones that are coming, because I'm thinking about doing a 5th webinar. Even this, just so much information that's out there that you guys need. That we got a lot of stuff to give away, and we can set up a special coupon into the new year, Rob. So let's think about that. Let's talk about that and see what we give them, because I think they should. Look, you guys help my kids, and so I'm gonna take care of you.
Yeah, so we'll get you guys a coupon, but for just as a ever being the salesman that I have a background in at times. We do have some specials coming up for MGYB for Christmas, so be on the lookout for those. And then if you're wanting something like really fast, you can just track down my Facebook page and follow over to the Heavy Hitter group, and there may just be a coupon on there for those that join. So
well, I'm seeing a whole lot of questions in chat, and let me.
I know I've been telling them over and over.
Give me a second. Let me share my screen again. Share.
Do I have to unshare somewhere?
No, I'm gonna stop your.
Okay.
Your share mine. Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, I see you.
Guys.
Tag team.
Yeah. Look, if you mouse over your monitor or your laptop, you're going to see something that says Q&A, like at the top, at the bottom, at the right, or at the left. And that's where you should be dropping your questions. If you drop them in chat, and I just saw something come through in chat, like I have to go looking for chat, and there's a whole bunch of questions in here. Shield is similar to the buffer, like Patrick. Yes, it's actually a buffer page, but it has such bad high power, Patrick, that it actually changes the bad link juice to good. From last year, 1 million links from GSA, unfiltered, just anything. Rob, he said when he started looking at the links that came through, and they indexed. By the way, it was some garbage porn shit that should have got everything just de-indexed. And this is when Google was actually penalizing links, and it took it like a champ. So, yeah. Thanks, Patrick. All right, let's continue with the questions. Where are we, Gray? Where are in our deals?
We're at James. Ultimate SEO plugin enough for scheming all the pages? Question mark.
Yes, up to a point. You could do individual pages, but then once you have your basic schema set up, the Ultimate SEO Pro plugin has the header plus, where you can go into individual posts and individual pages and add any additional schema, like for video. If you want a schema to just whatever author, anything else that you want to add that you haven't added, you can add it through the header plus feature in SEO Ultimate Pro.
Okay. And then James said, ooh, embeds in schema.
Yeah, we embed schema all over the fucking place.
Yeah. It's Summit Foundation, a lead gen site. Yes, it was a lead gen test site for someone who they didn't monetize, so now I use it as an example because I don't care what happens to it. There you go. Okay. Did you say city hopping is a bad strategy? Like getting McDonald's Los Angeles to top spot in LA is good, but it won't help your McDonald's San Francisco, maybe hinder it. If so, what basic strategy to rank, say, a franchise around the state? Or, yeah, I'm not following you there, Mike. I don't know why you'd want to rank McDonald's Los Angeles for LA or for the top spot in San Francisco. Like each one of those would have their own GMB and they'd all be treated exactly as like each location would have an SEO shield around it if needed.
Okay, so
yes, is that what
location goes by proximity, right? And so to try to get LA, a McDonald's in LA or a franchise in LA to appear for results in San Francisco, it's kind of useless because unless you're going to send something to San Francisco from LA, you're not going to go out and take that 8-hour drive from LA to San Francisco, well, depending on the traffic too, depending on the traffic jams. You're just not going to do it. Most of these are radius based. So you would want to create the entity in San Francisco if you're going after San Francisco. And if it's triggering a map pack, you would want Google My Business listing in San Francisco. What you could do is you can relate these all with like the home office, right? And then franchises of the main entity, right? Which you have corporate McDonald's, and they own stores, but they also use the franchise model where they lease out the stores to business owners. So that's the kind of thing that you should be looking at.
Okay, so I read this again, and I think I know where you're going, Mike. So if you're doing McDonald's, right? If you go to just McDonald's homepage, it doesn't talk about any location whatsoever at all. Los Angeles will have a McDonald's / Los Angeles page. Maybe, I don't know how they're just set up, but I'm just following me here. And then they'd have a McDonald's / San Francisco, yep. Right? And then if you're going into different states, they may set up McDonald's / California / Los Angeles, and then McDonald's / Denver / Colorado, right? So they're in their structure of their site, they're setting up each page to be an entity for the Los Angeles McDonald's. The GMB page that you point to would be the Los Angeles McDonald's page, not just the general McDonald's page. And then you can start by having just a network around McDonald's in general, right? But if you need more power, then the Los Angeles could have their own SEO shield completely around it individually, and so could San Francisco and all the others. So that's how I would attack a franchise. And I wouldn't, like, San Francisco and Los Angeles are not going to hinder each other unless you're trying to get the same page to rank for both cities, right? You're going to have location-specific GMBs and pages and the whole entity around that location for that page for that entity. But the power of the top level just brand McDonald's, it's automatically going to pass love, right? I'm pretty sure McDonald's could probably open up a location, and within 2 or 3 weeks, it's in the top of the Mac pack if someone's searching for burgers and they're within 2 miles of the McDonald's, because their domain and their brand is already so powerful that as soon as you add another location page, you're siphoning the power from all the other locations, and you already have inherent trust. That's kind of how franchise ranking works. Perfect. Okay. So Richard said, so you hired an Uber driver to take local photos to capture geo data as well?
Bam!
Uber, bicycle dudes, college kids to shoot some pictures. I mean,
you name it. High school kids, they all have smartphones. They all want to be internet stars. So just pay them, you know. As long as they're not underage, as long as it's legal to hire them, you pay them hourly or whatever by the image, and they it's just fantastic because they think people at different ages see things differently and so think outside the box, man, and like, all right, so from last week, and courtesy of George Clinton, and I'm paraphrasing and flipping it around, free your ass and your mind will follow.
Okay. Then he asks, any examples of an ID page / entity loop?
So I forget the semantic mastery URL. Watch. I can't. But do you have any examples handy, or maybe one that you can drop in there where people can download?
I can try and find one.
And we
I
need
don't
to
know which ones
we
we've
need to
shared.
run through these questions. We still have a whole bunch to go.
Okay. We'll get one eventually for you, Richard.
Yeah.
We don't have one right off the top of our head. I've got examples, but I don't know which ones I can share in a public forum. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's just the way. That's the SEO world. They always try to knock down everybody else's buildings. Okay. Kenny asks, are you guys familiar with the map pack that shows up for hotels? Any insights into ranking there?
No, I haven't done hotels, and that's another world, and I really don't want to get into it. I had an opportunity to get into it, and I don't want to. I'm sorry, I can't help with that.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole map pack with hotels, I don't know much about it. I haven't messed with it in ranking, but it almost appears like nothing ranks except Google Ads. So
yeah,
they're completely, Google's now becoming just an affiliate for all hotels, is what it appears to me. But
Google Ads are people that pay Google.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
those,
can't even schedule. Like I was trying to literally get somewhere to go on a vacation, and I couldn't even get to the actual business's website. It kept taking me to Google to try to send in my stuff to get an affiliate link from Google to go to their page. It was crazy. Me being the SEO, I refused to do it. So
yeah.
How would you approach creating a shield on an established site?
It's no different than how we approach it on a new site. If you already have the properties or some profiles, then you just send them into us, and we tie them all together. We add our own brand for creating the shield and for the entire process. But it all starts with first of all, proper on page. Whatever that on page is, whether it's a GMB, G site, or a TLD, and then that's where we start syndication network and dry stack was G site. And although his last name is Boston, I think Cliff is in New York. So what's up, man? Shout out to the NYC.
There's some entity ambiguation, right?
Yeah.
CJ Boston in New York. But anyway, just the quick answer is you basically just fill in the gaps. So if you have a network, you see what's missing, which ones aren't there. Are they all interlinked and themed well? Like our syndication network, we just had an amazing shout out by someone who purchased that. They said we build them better than they had ever built their own, right? So we don't skimp, make them look good, because that and interlink and have descriptions and all that stuff. And then build a drive stack for the brand and make that look good and interlink and embed and all those things. And then create the ID page and your press advantage page and all those things. So,
yep.
Okay. Tag team and SERP should say Marco and Rob. There you go. Okay. The 1 million link GSA blast, was that the first link building on the property? Well, it depends on, so we didn't just send it directly at the DC plumber. G site, Lee. We set up the SEO shield, and then we build to the shield, if that makes sense. Right? We're not, so we build to all the parts of the shield, which is we build into the drive stack, we build into the syndication networks, we build into the press advantage stuff, we build to the PRs. So we're building basically links to all the things that then they point back to the money site. If that makes sense. How powerful is the ID page compared to other things you can embed on a G site?
You can't see it that way.
Yeah, I don't.
There's no such thing. It's and Bradley said it during last week's Hump Day Hangout. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So if you take one thing out, you could break everything. You could break the entire loop so that it doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. That doesn't mean that it's more powerful or less powerful or whatever. It just means that it's a needed piece of the puzzle.
Okay. James said McDonald's is in the Mac pack. Okay.
Okay.
Henrik posted the
Okay.
semantic mastery. So it's s3page.semanticmastery.com. So there's an example of an ID page. I don't know if they can see the questions and answers, but for some reason I can't copy that. Yeah, I can.
What was the first link building on DC Plumber? We threw so much at it that I don't remember.
Well, that's what. Let me define link building for you, maybe, Lee. When I build a drive stack, that links to the money site. Every syndication property links to the money site. The press releases link to the money site. So all those are linking to the money site, right? So in theory, that's link building, I suppose, right? When I created the pages and I interlink them, those are link building. So I'm not sure when you're thinking first link building, like, are you meaning first link building to the drive stacks or to the syndication networks or to the direct G site? Because I mean, to the direct G site, I guess the first ones would have been the syndication networks and the drive stacks and then the PR pages, that type of stuff. So then yes to the drive stacks. So the drive stacks were the first to link building, I guess is what you're asking. So, well, that's all the questions. I know some of you guys are still asking questions in the chat for some reason. I'm not going to filter through all this crazy chat to try to find the questions. So if we didn't get to your questions, put them in the Q&A next time and we can try to cover them. You got anything else, Marco?
No. The next webinar, by the way, will be at 4 p.m. Eastern next Monday. So you'll get a notification. If you don't, then just contact the email, right? Charity webinars at heavyhitter.singular.club, and my personal assistant will take care of you guys and make sure that you guys attend. Give the replay time, to get worked out and what do you call it, get uploaded. It'll be uploaded on the page as soon as we can, and we'll just see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you got enough out of it so that you think again about donating to the kids. It doesn't take much. I mean, if you all contribute, what I will tell you is that it costs $200 to send one kid to school the whole year. That means tutoring. That means supplies. Some of them need transportation, shoes, food, just whatever they need to get them through school. We give it to them, and so it takes $200. And so for some of you that's less than that cup of coffee a day that you drink. So think about it.
At the time of Christmas, that's less than taking your family out to a nice restaurant one time.
Yeah. Think about it.
So,
but anyway, enjoy your Christmas. I don't want it to be a downer. I don't want you not to take your family out to dinner at Christmas. Take them out to dinner. You got something extra in your pocket. You got $5. You got $10. Please, it's welcome. It's for a great cause. I mean, we send the kids to school. I'll talk more about the charity next week. But anyway, thank you all for coming. And with that, I'll just cut it here and say have a good evening or a good night or good day, whatever part of the world you're in.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do one more thing, Marco. So yeah, you guys, if you can, like Marco said, I want to reiterate, every little bit helps sending these kids and changing their lives forever. And then there are, like we were saying, for those that are looking to get on to, we will be running some Christmas specials for you guys, and we will be getting you some coupons just for you guys for donating and also to give back. It's our way of giving back for you guys helping out the kids. So we do appreciate it.
I'm going to throw on my own, I usually do it for people who donate $1,000 or more, but I'm actually going to choose, I don't know what my calendar looks like next year, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I have 2 hours that I can give away. So 2 people are going to get a 1-hour consultation with me. That's $1,200, by the way. That's what I charge the companies that hire me to do what I'm doing here with their teams. So think about it. That's all I'm asking. Think about it. Think about helping others. while you're enjoying your Christmas. And I hope that what I give you helps you crush it to the point where you make it a habit to donate to the charity, because you remember where the information that helped you crush it came from. With that, good night, guys. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.